Hi, this is David Davis from VMwareVideos.com and from Train Signal, and I'm here at the Charlotte Regional VMware User Group. I'm honored here to be with Steve. Hey Steve, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Steve's from eGroup, and it's Steve Rattacasa?
Rattacasa.
Rattacasa, okay.
Rattacasa.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah, close.
So, we're here at the eGroup lab, and eGroup's been running some really awesome labs here at the Charlotte User Group. And as you can see, they've got a really cool rack of equipment here. Steve, why don't you tell us about the rack?
Sure. Well, we've got an EMC VNX 5300 that we've kind of taken around North and South Carolina on various VMware users groups and roadshows. This is kind of EMC's newest storage platform.
Is that the VNX-E?
No, this is the VNX.
The VNX.
VNX 5300. The VNX-E is kind of the little brother.
Smaller.
So this is, right now I think we're about 10, maybe 12 U, and we've got about 40 terabytes of storage in kind of the small frame here. We've got some flash drives that we're using for EMC's fast cache technology to help drive some of the VMware View stuff running on this other rack, which is made up of Cisco UCS rack mount server, Cisco UCS blades, and the Nexus 5000 that's kind of tying it all in.
Wow, wow. So I understand in the lab here you were demonstrating VMware View and what you could do with this type of equipment.
Absolutely.
And View. Tell us about, I mean, how many virtual machines do you think you could get on here? How fast would it be to provision virtual machines?
Well, I think on the hardware we've got right now, we're probably in that 300 to 500 virtual desktop range.
Wow.
Which is really good. Good consolidation number there. And
so 500 end users on just this equipment.
On just this little half rack here, yeah, and we could squeeze it all into this one rack and make it kind of the mobile end user computing data center.
Wow.
Yeah, and one of the things that we were demoing that you had mentioned was kind of provisioning new desktops, kind of trying to generate a boot storm and show how a technology like fast cache on an array like this can really benefit a customer that comes in on Monday morning to find 30 new users that need desktops, and just kind of spinning them all up, watching the lights blink fast, and the desktops get provisioned.
And I saw you do it. It was 30 desktops in just a few minutes. Maybe 5 minutes or so?
A few minutes, yeah.
Yeah. And so those desktops were provisioned across, you've got the one rack server here, and then 2 blade servers down there.
Those were provisioned on the blade server, which is out here in the lab. We've got 25 Y0 clients that are connected into the same thing. So we demonstrated provisioning it on the same LUN and how performance on the actual machines that everyone's using for the labs was not degraded. On the rack mount, we're using it mostly for the infrastructure that, like Virtual Center and servers like that, are helping to make the environment happen.
Okay. And so for those who don't know, I mean, Cisco UCS is still relatively new. As if you compare UCS to just buying a traditional Dell or HP server, the idea is that the servers are stateless, essentially, and you have a UCS management that can push down the configuration.
Yeah, the rack mount servers are price competitive to a traditional rack mount server. So if you're buying HP or Dell today, I'd say take a look, because there's a lot of technology that you can leverage in the rack mount servers. The blade servers and kind of the true UCS system with the fabric interconnects represents a single point of management for firmware and configuration of your entire Cisco UCS environment. And with the latest firmware, you can actually take the rack mounts, tie them into the fabric interconnects, and manage those from the same single pane of management you manage your blades from as well.
Wow, wow. So, I mean, obviously this isn't like a home lab.
No, this is the eGroup lab. It's kind of its home base is in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and like I said, it's I guess you usually don't measure your technical equipment in mileage, but it's probably got 2,000 or 3,000 miles from the times we've loaded it into the truck and driven it around, North to South Carolina to demo it for things like this.
What do you think, like, the list retail value of the whole lab is?
That's a great question. I'm the nerd, so I don't get to see the numbers. I get to see the ones and the zeros, so I kind of prefer to just keep it that way.
Okay, that's cool. So I know that you're running vSphere on here. You've got ESXi. What else? What else makes this possible?
Well, ESXi 4.1 on all 3 of the servers that we've got here, the rack mount and the 2 blades. We're leveraging VAAI, which is the storage offloading of certain storage tasks to the array. Within the array, like I had mentioned before, we're using fast cache. Some of the drives have been configured and presented through the X-Blades of CIF servers, which we're using as a destination for certain aspects of the profiles of the desktops. And that allows us to use some EMC technologies for deduplication to continue to drive storage efficiency and save money.
Okay. So you mentioned VAAI.
Yeah, it's probably the worst acronym in VMware history. I think it's vStorage API for Advanced Array Integration or Array Integration.
Okay.
With certain third-party vendors, they can leverage certain tasks where the hypervisor would normally have to handle tasks in software. It hands it to the storage and says, hey, processors, you're much faster at this than I am. Handle these tasks. For bulk zeroing, for cloning is a very good example, for provisioning with linked clones and things like that. And it also does advanced VMFS locking, which allows you to kind of have that scalable architecture that you want.
Okay, so it's an offloading technology to improve performance. So,
Absolutely.
like Intel VT enabled offloading of certain virtualization tasks in the CPU,
Yep.
and
It's like that for storage.
Like that for storage. And then you guys showed off a plugin for vCenter. What was it called again?
It was the Virtual Storage Integrator, or VSI. It's
Okay.
a free plugin that, I know the EMC guys and the V specialists, they always ask, who's not using this and why aren't you using it? It is free. It's a plugin. It's a very simple next finish installer, and it allows you to provision things that have been configured here in terms of storage pools. You can provision VMFS data stores in Virtual Center. So you can kind of take the storage admin, let him do his storage job, present the storage to VMware guy, and let the VMware administrator handle it from there.
Okay.
And it's highly recommended. It is an EMC best practice to use it because it does set certain settings for things like NFS, for timeout values and heartbeats, and some other things that you'll need to set as kind of a best practice for max performance. It handles it all for you, and it's free.
Wow. So VAAI, that was new in vSphere 4.1, is that
That was
right?
in 4.1, correct.
4.1, okay. What's the, if somebody wanted to start off with View, say, they've got 50 desktop physical PCs now, what do you guys recommend for them to get started?
There are several things that we do. We're very big on assessments and kind of getting all the information that we think would be valuable. We've got a pre-sales team dedicated to gathering that information and laying a design that we think would work. And we've also found a lot of success with proof of concepts where we can go in, take a look at the environment, build the virtual desktop environment, leveraging our application development team for things like application virtualization with ThinApp to package all the software that we can, deliver it to the desktop, deliver it to the user, and see what the experience is. And we've taken a different approach. I think most companies like to go for the users that are easy to work with, where we find if we can have success with the ones that everyone kind of considers the angry person in the office, if they like it, it spreads like wildfire and everybody wins.
It's amazing to me how desktop virtualization has changed over time, where originally you said, well, with desktop virtualization it's only good for sort of the task-based users, the power users, they should stick with their own PC. But I see like over here in the Solutions Exchange, I think it was Teradici, they've got actually someone playing a video game really over a thin client using PC over IP. So today, can you do a lot more with the power users?
You can do a lot more. As part of the things that we kind of show off in the lab, depending on the bandwidth of the venue, just streaming YouTube videos, streaming music, playing, testing out all the kind of multimedia capabilities that are offered. And there are certainly things coming in the next releases that are going to allow even more of that capability.
Yeah. So there's two things we can in the video, actually three things we can't in the video without talking about. So the first one is the cloud. So what's eGroup's take on the cloud?
We break down our three kind of core competencies now as cloud services, application services, and end user computing.
Okay.
Cloud services are kind of our bread and butter, a lot of data center related things. We also have our own cloud offering, which we named eCloud, obviously. And so we offer things as simple as kind of spam filtering that we can handle and offload for customers to full hosted infrastructure and software as a service and all the other things that go with it.
How do you see, what's the reception been from your customers?
We still see most customers are more interested in their private clouds.
Yeah.
They're still buying and building private clouds, and they're leveraging a lot of technologies to kind of start building the DR and kind of make it in more of a hot site, maybe split user load type of thing. But the full embracement of the public cloud that it seems like most people are kind of afraid that we're headed towards hasn't quite taken yet. I think things like the Amazon outage for a couple days, I guess a week or two ago, certainly don't help. And I think also the delivery of the cloud message. Cloud isn't the end-all, be-all, save-all, up all the time thing that I think some people may kind of pitch it as.
Yeah. So do actually some of your customers have their infrastructure in the cloud, maybe even just test or dev?
Yeah, we actually have a great customer, one of our longest customers out of Charleston, that's got I would say a mostly cloud environment.
Okay.
They have built out a very, very nice kind of co-load facility, and they have half their user load there and half of it in their home base in Charleston, and they can operate independent. So if one site goes down completely, a hurricane wipes away Charleston, they can relocate, hop back on, and be back up and working.
Very cool. Okay, second thing we can't end without talking about is the iPad. Have you accessed your View desktop with an iPad?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've got them. I personally have one that I've used. I'm a big nerd, so I have my own co-load server in a data center that I connect to for my own stuff. But within the lab, that's something that we showed with the old iPad, the iPad 2 that we've been walking around with. Part of the way we're delivering this lab is wirelessly, so taking the iPad out and walking it over to the floor and saying, hey, does this look like Windows 7 on this iPad to you, kind of thing. But yeah, iPads, they're pretty much everywhere. Apple does a good job of saturating the market with things like that, and so we're prepared to take advantage and make it work for businesses.
Cool.
We see a lot of organizations where they kind of sneak in, and then everybody has one, and they're, how can you make this work? I want to be able to use this to do my job, and we certainly can deliver all the services necessary to make that happen.
Cool. And then third thing is eGroup. So who is eGroup?
Who is eGroup? Wow, that's a great question.
How long have you guys been around?
We've been around, I guess this is our 11th or 12th year now.
Okay.
Our
employees?
About 25 employees.
Okay.
We're headquartered in Charleston, South Carolina, and we cover kind of the southeastern United States. Like I mentioned before, cloud services, application services, and end user computing are our core competencies. And that kind of encompasses the big major vendors like a VMware, a Cisco, an EMC, Microsoft, obviously. And we deliver solutions built on kind of the best of breed technologies. We secure them with things like RSA and Trend Micro, and we're very, very cloud and virtualization focused.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Steve. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate your time too.